Well, hello internets. Here we are with a little bit of a voiceover video. In my life, I've had many life lessons. I have learned a lot of valuable information from each and every one of them lessons. I try to give those I meet the benefit of the doubt, but they usually end up always proving my suspicions correct. I am naturally a giving and kind person, but in the past I have always given way too much to those who do not deserve it. And when I ask for something in return, they always cause conflict, and that usually is the end of the relationship or friendship. Recently, I put myself back online again. And, it was an interesting experience being online again. Seeing a lot of the same people still online a couple of years later that were online once before. About the time I was ready to delete my profile again and crawl back into my little bubble, I was messaged by a woman who said she was interested in a relationship with me. I thought I would give it one last try. She was a local woman who had lived in the same town I lived in for quite a few years now. She did meet the so-called criteria of being a real person with history, online checking out, a job. She wasn't one of those fake online scammers that seem to be plentiful when you're online dating. So I thought, well, I would give it a try. We talked on the phone every night for 3 weeks. She would tell me all her problems and things that concerned her. I would talk to her about things in my life and talk to her about things that we had mutual interests in. One night she invited me over for supper to meet her dad and things. Supper went fairly well. I didn't stay too late because obviously she had to work the next day, and I wasn't 100% sure on our definition of our relationship. To presume that you're going to spend the night it may not be a good thing, especially if that's not what I'm looking for as well. Over the last little bit, she would drop hints and do things like a girlfriend would do. She would say things like a girlfriend would say. I offered to make supper for her one night as kind of pay to repay the kindness that she showed by making me supper, and she did not seem to be interested. So I let it go and did not push the subject. Maybe she was not comfortable with coming over to my place alone. So, let it go. We can always revisit it in the future. Things continued on for another few weeks with coffees and in-person conversations. We would spend more and more time together and continue to grow. At this point, I kind of thought to myself, well, if she did not want to see me, then she would not be initiating the coffee or the conversations. She would be avoiding me or waiting for me to call her or to text her. During these calls and in-person conversations, she would talk about her finances and her problems. I would give my advice and things, hopefully helping her out. Some of these things that I learned the hard way in my life. Some of these things I shared, just trying to calm her mind and assure her that things are okay, that things will work out eventually. Leading into the holidays, I gave her a small gift, a kind of token of the month and a half that we had together. She tore into the gift like a toddler on Christmas morning. When she opened the gift, she kind of said thank you, and well, that was pretty much it. Christmas came, and there was no gift in return. Now, I did not give her her gift to get one back, but a simple card from the dollar store would have been just fine. I asked her to come over for Christmas Eve, but she was busy. I can understand that. She does have family. You know, she was living with her dad, and she has a mum somewhere, as well as other family that, you know, probably would show up for Christmas to be with the dad. Come New Year's, I asked again, and she said that she would try to attend our New Year's little get-together with a couple of my family members. However, suddenly her house was full with all these friends that she did not know she had. She never invited me to her New Year's get-together. I texted her a few times throughout the following days, but she never replied. I never received a reply from her. She did not contact me for a couple of days after that. Once all of her party guests had left, the reality sets in that she's alone again, and she contacts me for a ride. By this time, my suspicions had all but been confirmed that I had been demoted from boyfriend to an on-demand taxi driver. When I first met her, she did have a car, a fairly new car, a car that she claimed to be making payments on, a car that she claimed that she owned herself. However, leading up till Christmas, she started to complain about not being able to make the car payment, not being able to pay the bills, not being able to have money to do the things that she wants to do. And just shortly after Christmas, but before New Year's, her car disappeared. She claimed she sold it. However, I have other suspicions. When she called me to be an on-demand taxi driver, I was kind of hesitant to go get her. But at the same time, I kind of wanted to try again. You know, you reach a certain age in your life where you have to keep trying, you know, or accept being alone. I went to go pick her up, and she was not alone. There was somebody else with her. Obviously, this person was the person that she had spent New Year's with. Their vehicle was more than covered in snow. Not just the snow from that day, but snow from previous days. She did not see me driving down the back alley, but I seen him come out of her house, and with her shortly behind. When she seen me, she didn't even give him chance to sweep off his vehicle. He jumped in it fully covered in snow and took off. Looking back, obviously, I ignored some red flags earlier on in our short relationship. Red flags like she was able to come up with extra money for her wants, but at the same time, she would whine about not being able to pay her car payment or be able to pay her bills or her rent, or having to sell her clothes or her fish tanks or whatever the stuff that she had lying around. She would say that she needs a part-time job. However, when I would send her job ads, she would never apply for them. Red flags, like she would say that she needs her resume done. However, she would never do it. I even offered to help her with it. I have a computer that has internet access. We can do it up, email it to the copy print center, and she could pick it up tomorrow or the next day, after work. Red flags, like whenever I would talk about my interests and my hobbies, like painting or camping or my 2019 road trip, she would never ask what those were or what they are. I would talk about editing my videos or my YouTube, and she would never ask what kind of videos or what YouTube. And it's not like I was always talking about me or always talking about my videos or my YouTube or my paintings. This is just in the process of conversation. During all of this, she would still be whining and complaining about her problems, her money issues in front of me. Now, I have been on this planet a few years. I have been in a relationship. I have been in so-called relationships, so-called friendships, and I ended up getting used or hurt. Because of this, I have developed a bit of a sense to these things, a bit of a sense when I'm being used. I felt that she was trying to use me for my vehicle, trying to use me for my financial security, trying to use me for everything that she could get out of me. However, I wasn't dumb enough to fall for it this time. I had learned my lessons from previous online relationships or previous relationships in the past, not to get conned into paying for things that aren't really my financial responsibility. This car payment, these financial troubles that she was having, I don't believe were even real. I think this is something that she fabricated, trying to get money out of me, just like she probably has done before to many, many other men that she has met online. And when I did not fall for her scam, then she had no use for me. And then when her car disappeared, she thought she could use me as a discount taxi service. Now, I don't mind driving a friend around as long as this friend pays a fair price for fuel. If she was my girlfriend and we were in a relationship, then the fuel and the driving around would kind of be a perk or a thing of our relationship. But according to her, we weren't in a relationship, and we would never be in a relationship, that she was not attracted to me. Well, if she was not attracted to me, then why would she still continue to string me along? Why would she still continue to do and say the things that she would say, like a girlfriend would say when we were together? I understand helping a friend out. I understand being there for support. However, when you have given your friend plenty of options, plenty of chances to remedy the situation, and yet they choose not to act on the job postings, not to take the advice you have given them, you eventually just have to walk away. It was an interesting 2 months. I enjoyed some of our conversations. She did challenge my intellectual capacity. She did expose me to new ways of thinking, unlike some of the ways I had been raised to think. However, sometimes things aren't meant to be. I would have been willing to remain friends, but once I caught on to her game and refused to let her use me, then she had no use for me. Then it was all over. The choice was hers in the end. Obviously, if she entered in the relationship with false intentions, then the relationship would never have lasted. And with her feelings that she had of me being different than what my feelings were of her, and her choosing not to tell me the truth, her choosing to drag it out much longer than it is needed to have been. And this is the consequences of those actions. Sometimes people's lives have drama. Sometimes people refuse to deal with their past, and then it consumes them and controls their future. I know that there can be drama in friendships or relationships, but when the drama outweighs the benefits that you are getting, then it starts to become not worth the hassle. Again, it was an interesting couple of months. I learned another life lesson. I did not allow myself to get scammed this time. Each time I go through this, I learn another very valuable lesson. Each time I try again, I am more aware of the games, and each time I can spot those games unfolding before they start to cost me more than I can afford to give. I tried once more to find someone, and I failed. But I will try again in the future. Thanks for listening to this here video, and as always, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.